That's beautiful.
Thank you. I just made that up.
Where does
I don't know where it came from.
Where does
but
it
I
come
made it up.
from?
I made it up.
Wow.
That's made up.
Are you sure you didn't play with a big band when you were in your 20s?
No.
My name is Judy Weinstein. I am the daughter and only child of Miriam and Herb Weinstein, who were from the Boston area. So I was born in Boston and grew up in a suburb of Boston. And I feel strongly that I chose my parents well. My parents met at a USO dance. My mom had gone there with a friend, and my dad was there with a gentleman friend of his, and the four of them were standing at the entrance. And my mother took one look at them and said, "Did you come here to dance or what?" So the two couples went out onto the dance floor. My mother was not dancing with my father, so halfway through the dance, she said, "Let's switch. I like him better." And that was the beginning of a lovely romance for both couples. My parents were married for 48 years when my dad passed at the age of 80, and the other couple made it to 50. My dad worked for Raytheon as I was growing up, and I inherited from him my love of academics and travel and food. My mom has always loved music. She started playing piano as a teenager. She loves the arts, and she was a terrific athlete. My mom was a skier, a figure skater. She taught me how to do both of those. Graduating high school, went to work for the government. She would play piano for office parties and belonged to ski clubs and bowling clubs, and I inherited all those loves from her. I'm very, very lucky. My mom is still an improvisational jazz piano player. She's terrific with all kinds of art. She loves nature and animals. One of the things my mother did for 25 years was she carved birds out of basswood. These are songbirds. This happens to be a belted kingfisher that my mother created out of one piece of wood, which is pretty amazing. Her first bird was a chickadee, Massachusetts state bird. She's carved about a dozen birds. This adorable little one is a puffin, which you find up in Canada. As a result of working at DeCordova Museum, my mother and I also got to take a lot of classes, and my mother became a terrific painter. I love this particular painting, which she called Summer Solitude. It's a picture of bluebirds, and I've had this in my bedroom now for years, so it's a favorite. I have taken piano lessons for 10 years, and I assumed that my mother did the same. But the story of my mother starting to play piano is pretty amusing. She started to take piano lessons, and after a few months, she said she didn't want to take lessons anymore because she didn't want to practice. My mother's a bit of a maverick, and she said, "I'm going to teach myself how to play piano." So as a teenager, that's exactly what my mom did. And she is self-taught. She reads music wonderfully. She has a great ear. And what I've learned that really amazes me over the last 15 or 20 years is that my mother can improvise, and she can create songs just by sitting at the piano and using her ear. That's not something that I can do. So my mom is very creative and very spontaneous, and I admire her for that. In fact, our friends at the Oasis sent me a video of my mother jamming with a guest saxophone player where they were doing a call and response just a couple of weeks ago. That's absolutely incredible. My mother can still sing, we sing together. She doesn't remember words to songs, but she remembers every note in perfect pitch and every interval. I just keep my mom so happy by talking to her about the things that she loves, and music is at the top of the list. In fact, when I was playing piano for her recently, she said, "You're really good. Did you take lessons?" Yeah, Mom, I did, thanks to you. My mother told me that once I was born, that she wanted to be able to play piano, but she and my dad didn't have the money for a piano. So she would sit there on the sofa with her piano music in front of her, and she would play the air. Now, she told me she did that. I was too young to remember it. But that is a fabulous memory that I want to see if is still in my mom. Amazing. And what thrills me is that now that my mother has been at the Oasis for not quite 3 months, she's back to being able to do all those things and having a wonderful quality of life. For the last 5 years, as my mom's dementia has increased, she backed off of doing a lot of the things that she had been good at and had loved. And I realized a few months ago that as she was having more difficulty with her activities of daily living, she needed more help with being able to function. So I looked for a place that knew how to handle her dementia and give her back that quality of life. And I was thrilled to have found the Oasis. I went onto a website called caring.com, and I registered saying that I was interested in finding another place for my mom to live. And within a day, I got a call from Micah Shalev, who's one of the co-founders of the Oasis. And a couple of days later, I came to the Oasis to visit it, fell in love with it, and the next day, Micah came to visit my mom to see if he could indeed take care of her at the Oasis. And he assured me as soon as he met her that he definitely could do that.
One of the most common questions I've been asked in my professional life by family member and by employee, what is really dementia? What is the difference between dementia and Alzheimer's disease? And most of the people don't really understand the difference between the both. Dementia is like a big branch. Alzheimer's is only one of it. There is right now quite a few diagnoses under the dementia. It can be Alzheimer's disease, it can be Lewy body disease, it can be vascular. So dementia is pretty much an interruption to the process, to the way the brain is working, how the brain is processing information. And this is usually the number one reason most of the family members consider placement in a long-term care facility toward the end of life of the elderly people. And we can take an example for one of our residents, Miriam. When I first met Miriam, the daughter called me to meet her and screen her. She was living in an assisted living facility. Family had to hire a private duty companion to spend time with her on a one-on-one basis. So when I came to the room to see her and to meet with her, she was pretty much sleeping on the bed and did nothing. Kind of combative when I tried to talk with her and find more information. Was very, very difficult. So I told the daughter that she really had to do something because the placement where mom was, the assisted living, was not an appropriate location for her.
When you have dementia and other things that go along with it, I was beginning to doubt that my mother could have a quality of life. But Micah was great. Once the urinary tract infection was diagnosed and fixed and her meds were all rebalanced, my mother became the Miriam who I knew. Within 2.5 weeks, my mother was happy and clean and sleeping and playing piano on the baby grand that the Oasis has and participating in all their activities. My mother still has fabulous hand-eye coordination because she was such an athlete. So when they have athletic games, my mom can catch and throw balls.
One of the very common reasons elderly people might get a little bit forgetful or show sign of dementia can be related to urine infection, can be also dehydration, can be also thyroid or diabetic. All those factors can contribute for the people to show sign of dementia.
I love coming to visit my mom at the Oasis. We always try to eat together. The food is delicious, and so it's like having a picnic. We have a really good time, and then we're able to do whatever she's in the mood for.
So what the Oasis at Dodge Park really doing and contribute to the quality of life for Miriam is our resident center care approach, where we're kind of working around Miriam overall behavior, overall engagement. If she wants to sleep late in the day, if she wants to wake early in the day, we're kind of working around what she likes to do. She took a big stride since moving to our facility, and there was a big improvement in her overall medical condition, in her overall mental condition and mental capacity.
Sometimes we sing together, and in fact, the Oasis has a battery-operated golden retriever puppy that responds to sound. So my mother and I are singing to the dog, which looks at my mother and wags its tail and goes, ow, ow, and my mother sings back to it. Sometimes we'll go over to the piano and we'll either play together or she'll play and I'll just sit there and say, Mom, you amaze me. My mom is so happy here, and I know she's safe and well cared for. For the first time in years, she's sleeping well. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the activities that the Oasis has and the wonderful staff and the way they're compassionate and they have senses of humor, they keep my mom going during the day, so she's sleeping well at night. And for that, I can't thank the staff and the administrators at the Oasis enough to have my mom be 93 and have that kind of a quality of life. It warms my heart. But
Picture or video?
The video.
Okay. I want to thank my star keys player here, Miriam, for holding me down here at the performance. I want to say thank you. We're going to need to go on tour next month, so we're going to need, we're going to get the tour bus going.
Get us all in necessary.
Everyone here gets free tickets to the show.
We will arrange that. Okay.